A sacrifice seduced for the altar of your vanity. A jealous, hungry God craving praises of profanity. With bedroom dark and dine, and a deep mouth stained with wine, it drinks its fill. It was your mothers, not your brothers, that agreed to feed you poison. This egregious lack of choice indeed seemed fit to join your voice in, with lies disguised as prizes of reason and wisdom, with briberies of finery to weaken any criticism. Can the fly invade the blossom that devours it? A mouth that lies in wait for a gift of life to shower it.
Awesome.
Pretty much.
All right, guys, welcome back. We are on session 72. It is now 133 BC. Hopefully you guys all read the prep statement I put on Discord. I have a little bit of clarification. So starting right now, the difficulty to hunt is still 4. However, if you are trying to get clean, non-diseased blood, your difficulty is 6.
Sorry, what? Non-disease blood?
Yep. Rome is full to bursting. The city is crammed full of men, women, and children that have been forced off of their land. There is not enough work to go around. What work does go around doesn't really pay enough to survive or let alone thrive.
Okay.
Families are starving so their children can eat. They are crammed into the ancillae apartment tenement blocks. Of course, these are all in the valleys that are wet. They flood. So you are in a dark, cramped, flooded environment. So diseases are running rampant. Malaria, tuberculosis, leprosy, even other diseases are sweep through the sick and weakened crowds. However, money flows into Rome. Thousands of talents of gold and silver per year. Rivers of wine and oil flow in and out. If you're rich, you live a lavish lifestyle. The wealthy of Rome are paying off and bribing any official, plebeian and patrician that might seek to change anything. They employ strong guards. They have thick walls to keep out the cries of the poor. So when game starts, you guys have 2 invitations to discuss personal business waiting on you. The first citizen, Princeps Camillus, and Ihamus.
Okay. Well, I think we should go to the prince first, considering he is the higher authority.
I agree, but going to him is going to mean that we have to reject him.
Well, I would like to reject Ihamus rather than prince.
It's not rejecting him. It's just saying, hey, guys, I have something I have to do. I will... This is not a command. This is a, hey, when you have time, please come see me.
Oh, so it's not a demand to appear before him, just a request.
No. Correct.
I still think, for the sake of showing a discreet way of respect, we should go to the prince first. You know, I'm sure he will know that we got another invitation the same night at the same time or something, and us choosing to go him first means something, and I'm sure rumors will spread quite fast.
I will not push in your direction.
Camillus first is good with me.
Yep, I have no objections.
Okay, let's go to the prince then.
Okay. He will receive you in a villa to the west of the Capitoline Hill. The villa is appointed well, but to your surprise, maybe, is not the sculpted, perfectly ordered vision which would be typical for Venture.
Does it
Go ahead.
look more how to say it, entertainment fashioned or something?
No. If you would like, you may make a perception plus auspex roll. Just perception and auspex.
Is that applicable to anyone?
Yeah, anyone who wants to make it. This is a... You're wandering through the villa, you're just observing, just looking. Noticing the small details.
Does it require all specs to make the roll?
No.
Okay.
Standard diff, I'm gathering.
Yes, absolutely.
Ooh, nice. Oh,
Wow, Aviana
you
really
will-
nailed that one. Alright,
Yeah.
so Albina, you just notice something's different. You can't quite put your finger on it. But this is there's just something different about this from every other villa you've ever been in. Nicodemus with 2 successes. The garden is just... There's something different about it. It's different from Artemis's garden. It's different from the other villas. But Hatchetfoot and Labiena, you really start to nail it down. Things here, they're just barely overgrown. They spill beyond the careful borders. The plants intermingle. Ivy is not contained in this pot. It is spread to 3 other pots and grows on the olive oil tree, or on the olive tree, and the olive tree overhangs some flowers, and so on and so forth. Sculptures that would be arranged for optimum viewing are instead obscured by slightly overgrown grass and more herbs. There's something about that things inside here refuse to be classified or contained and seek their own balance. Now you can apply that line of thinking to its owner.
Yes, obviously at this point, Labiana is thinking to herself that this is certainly unusual for the prince.
His servants come, they direct you inside to the atrium. Their hospitality is, of course, on point. They wash your feet, they provide you fresh sandals to walk around. You are brought into the inner chambers that are reserved for valued guests. Even in Immortals, they would say for friends of the family. Camillus is actually alone for once, and he is reclining on a Roman couch. He seems to be observing a painting of some kind, some artwork, thinking. He gets up as you enter, greets you all. Says, as Labiena has the highest status in Rome, he greets her first. Then he greets the rest of you, and even though Agatha has status, he greets her last. Just that subtle, you're a Bruja in my Roman city. Let me just jab that fork into you a little bit more.
Oof.
He says, "Oh, please, come in, sit down." And he claps his hands, and a couple of servants run in, and they bring in some extra seats and stuff for you guys. He says, "I was just contemplating the latest work." He gestures towards a painting, and you notice there's enough light through some candles and stuff being hung from the ceiling that you can see. And in fact, now that he has pointed out, you begin to smell. The painting is of a tortured victim, and it smells like it's been done in blood, as well as other paint.
Is the paper a real tissue?
It's not human skin, I'll tell you that.
Is it your work, my prince?
No, it is not my work, although the subject of the painting is my work. Serius Marius painted that for me.
Does this name ring a bell?
I believe I believe it's one of his thinner buddies.
Yeah.
I asked you all here because there's something I wanted to talk to you about. But before I get there, there's some things to discuss to clarify why I want to discuss that topic with you. How many of you actually take the time to travel the country and speak to the people, observe what's going on?
Out of character question. By country, he means whole Italy?
He means Rome, and the areas around Rome.
Okay.
Not as much as I would like.
I'm afraid I have been rather insular these past few decades.
Hi.
Not recently, not much. Though by inquiry, I assume you refer to the recent dynamic changes in Rome, the state of the populace, and the condition of the mortals. It's likely countryside. Things aren't going too well.
I travel a little.
Is this about the distress among the poorest of the folk? The overgrowth?
Well, let me ask you, what do you think of the laws surrounding the distribution of public land?
I think
Sorry, just out of character. What's the
The
What's
law
the
is that no person will own more than 500 acres, basically, of public
okay.
land.
Is it like followed by the patricians? Or
No,
are there
no, it is not.
So, do we actually know about these laws? Do we need to have a proper law rating or something to know and realize the fact that he's referring to?
Politics? I know. Is there law skill?
Yes,
Roll intelligence plus law if you have law.
No, I don't have law.
That's
I don't think I have it.
I'm pretty sure I have a dot in it.
oh,
Nice.
Okay, I don't want to say anything and jinx us.
Okay, so Nicodemus, you paid attention to Artemis, apparently. And one of the laws of Rome is that no person will own more than 500. Now, acres is not the right term, but that's what I'm going to say. Will own more than 500 hectares, I think, of land, of public land. But what the rich people have been doing is they basically flout it because they'll make up false deeds and false names and false identities, and it's gotten to the point where they're bold enough to do it openly. They own many thousands of hectares of land.
Do your precepts refer to the justice of the law or the effectiveness of the law?
The effectiveness and the effect.
Seems there's much flaw in this regard.
A law that the powerful presumably pushed under the idea that it would maintain stability, in fact only serving to maintain the interests of the powerful. I'm shocked.
The law itself is well-intentioned, and in fact was followed for hundreds of years. It is, as some of you may have seen, a sad state that many have lost sight of what it's supposed to do. They have let greed blind them to the effects.
Surely there should be some execution of the law. If the law is broken, then it serves as means to underline the very fabric of order in society.
Yes, certainly it needs to be, well, reviewed.
Yes, public order. In fact, you stray dangerously close to my final topic and what I wanted to talk to you about. But before I get there, this is the same topic, but it's going to sound different. The wars in the Iberian Peninsula in Hispania. Are you familiar with what has happened there over the past decade?
Are we? Are
It's
we?
like out of character.
Nicodemus often listens to rumors. Would he pick any of this?
This is going to be intelligence plus academics plus contacts.
I can do that.
I can definitely do that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately, I don't have contacts.
Well, that's just bonus dice.
I guess I can find that. Okay.
Base diff.
6. This was an extremely publicized event.
So we can roll this even if we don't have contacts?
Yes, contacts are just bonus dice.
Contacts plus seconds.
Oh, it's lagging.
I think something messed up there, Nicodemus. You only rolled 1 dice.
No. I rolled 4, but I should have rolled 5, so I rolled 1
Oh,
more.
okay. Oh, I missed it then. 1, 2. Hatchet's holy crap.
Together.
Agatha, and remember this very well. Nicodemus, you remember not so much the event, but you remember many of the soldiers talking about being let go thanks to their commander. The negotiating skill of their commander. Agatha, Labiana, and Hatshepsut, especially Hatshepsut, Hatshepsut remembers every detail. It's burned into her memory at the moment. The Numantian Wars. A man named Tiberius Gracchus. Tiberius Sempronius Gracchus. Was able to negotiate the essentially the safe return of his 20,000 man army. Now, he technically was not authorized to do this
By whom?
by Roman law. But he did it anyways because the besiegers insisted he had to be the negotiator. So when he was a quaestor at the time, when he and his consul returned to Rome, his consul returned with essentially his tail between his legs, being thoroughly beaten. The Roman Senate used a technicality to reject the treaty because they said it made Rome look weak, and then sent the consul back in chains. As a result, Rome has sent one of the current consuls with an army, with another couple of armies, actually, back to go finish the war.
So, a Roman army came back, but Rome sent several armies back
Yep.
to the fight.
Yep, sure did, because they're not going to accept the loss.
Okay. What happened to the initial army leader?
The consul was sent back to the Numantians in chains.
Okay, enchained. So they don't actually rule anything, or
Well, they're
They
essentially
still-
revolting.
okay.
Rome had control. They said, okay, you're going to do this. They said, fuck you, no, we're not. We revolt. Rome goes, okay, fine, we're going to send an army, and they beat their army's ass because the consul was fucking incompetent and did not know how to lead an army at all. And he got his ass kicked.
Okay.
So, you are mostly familiar with the chaos in Spain, or in Hispania. You understand that Montano has begun directing many La Sombra to emigrate there. They are establishing many settlements, many small domains.
For the prince?
Of course not, for themselves.
Is this move has Camillus at any point displayed any means of dissatisfaction with this move, or is it under his full support?
This is the first time he's ever really talked about it.
Okay.
Try to read his expression, his body language. He's speaking about it.
Okay, that's going to be a perception plus empathy to gauge his body language.
And before we did the academic throw, Prince asked us what we know about the war, right?
Yes.
But he didn't say anything further.
Well, what he just
Anything-
said further was the La Sombra are emigrating to take advantage of it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Another sounds like another front on the constant politicking then.
To Albina and Nicodemus, he is just reciting facts. He could be saying the water is wet.
I think what they are doing is, well, something that probably occurred many times in history, so
What
I
would
don't see too much weirdness in it.
here's a note I just thought of, because during the conclave or whatever, Camillus had that thing declared where he was basically head prince of an area. What was that specific area?
Anywhere Rome had sway.
Yeah. How rich is Spain, Hispania?
Quite
Is it
rich. Lots and lots of silver mines, lots of olive oil.
And is it currently under Roman sway?
parts of it.
Interesting.
Well, it's only a matter of time until it is. So it becomes quite important who of the vampires controls it.
Do you believe that? Oh, sorry.
This is the cause of concern for you, Precepts.
Why should it be? I bring it up because I want to get your opinions. What do you see is happening? What do you think should be done, if anything? Why and why? Why should I even care? Why should any of us care?
The way it looks, it's only a matter of time until Rome seizes Hispania, and it would seem that Montano's influence, the La Sombra's influence over this part of Rome, would be greatly extended if they were to enroute there. I'm of a firm believer that the truest way for any society of Canaanites to succeed is to ensure diversity in allegiances, clans, plots.
Nicodemus, I
Bro.
would like to add to what you just said. I do agree to my friend here that diversity is what makes us survive for a longer time. And considering my little knowledge about the general nature of the La Sombra, I do believe that a mass of them together doing a shared goal will end up badly in the end, considering that they are, Albina, no personal things here. It's just what I think about the general picture. And I think that if La Sombra bunched up together to do one thing succeeds, then that will lead to some sort of failure between each other. That's what I think, considering that they have specific interests that I think does not allow a person to work with others in a prolonged time period.
Alpina is struggling a bit to answer this question. On one hand, she does not want to lie to the prince, more specifically, she does not want to be caught lying to the prince. On the other hand, she does not wish to say anything that would put her clan and her position within her clan in jeopardy. So after thinking for a second, she just merely and casting a nasty glare at Agatha for her comment. She just says, I do not believe that the siege in this focus of power is a threat to you or to Rome. After all, the traditional base of power for our clan is in Sicily. Moving to Hispania means moving further away from your own domain, avoid any future conflict over territory that might arise between yourself and our progenitor.
At the same time, it could be seen as a means to get out from under your thumb. I do not tend to think about such things, but it's something that you would have to consider in terms of maintaining power, etc., etc. Maybe not necessarily take action against, but certainly not ignore.
Indeed.
They are frightened of Montano. Montano answers to me.
Fair enough, then.
That Well, if that's what you say, my prince, that is the truth. So then there isn't too much to question, I guess.
I happen to be enthusiastic about their departure. Not because I am frightened of them or I believe they would be trouble, but the chance for the young to spread their wings can only be a good thing for us. For all of us here in Rome. First off, we are the center. Around us, all things revolve. And the less competition in this city, the more each of us has room to thrive. Would you not agree?
Partially, yes. I do think a bit of competition helps. Not, its existence vanishing, I think, would create a problem in the longer run. But yeah, I do agree.
Chris, what's the current? Ultimately, Rome becomes like this parasite, like as in the city doesn't produce anything; it just leeches resources from other areas. How how is the state of it right now? Is it like, has it converted to this state yet, or not? Not just yet.
No, not at all. That doesn't come for a long time because right now, the Senate is still the paramount institution of Rome. So what comes out of Rome is intellectual goods, not physical goods.
But it doesn't export anything; it just imports a lot of.
Correct. It's just the population's too large.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's Rome and the surrounding 20 kilometers. Like the region between Rome and Napoli and Naples, that is sending hundreds upon hundreds of amphorae of wine to Gaul. The northern regions are sending olive oil to Gaul and Spain, wine, fish, all kinds of stuff. So it's just Rome and the immediate countryside, let's say 20 kilometers,
Mm-hmm.
kind of sucks a lot of that up. But there's still a lot from the broader region, the surrounding 100 kilometers, that exports a great deal of stuff.
Right.
Okay.
But Rome itself, the city itself, primarily is becoming the governmental center.
Here's a question for an empathy check to maybe figure out. Is he trying to drop a hint?
There's no empathy check needed. He has a point that he's working towards.
Yeah.
And he said
Also-
he told you that straight out.
Mm. I'm just wondering if I realize where this is going. But okay, let him finish.
Sorry, you go on.
Also, while this is going on, after what she saw before she walked in, Laviena has also been keeping an eye on the prince's body language and facial expressions, just to see if she might be able to see any hint of whether or not he's preoccupied or whether, something's been going on with him lately. Otherwise,
Give me a aura sight roll. Perception plus empathy, difficulty 8.
I had to read this.
You have Auspex 2, correct? I think you do.
Yeah, I do. I have Auspex 3, but yeah. That's right. It's diff 8, isn't it?
Yes, it's book difficulty. Yeah, he's a vampire.
Just need it.
In the meantime, I would like to, in character, ask something to Prince. My Prince, I think that I am getting to that certain spot you want us to go. But to be sure, I just want to ask out loud. Is the law about people not being able to own more than 500 acre is associated kind of with the La Sombra expanding too much in a essentially Roman region within the borders of Rome. Is this where we are going?
No, Agatha dear, not at all. Yeah, once again, you have the entirely wrong direction. One more question for all of you before I circle back to my main point. What is your opinion on the divide in politics? When you were first brought before me, most of you, the divide was the patricians and the plebeians. What would you consider to be the divide now? Have you followed the gain and fortunes of the equites and the plebeians and the major bloodlines? That's going to be a politics roll if anybody wants a hint.
Okay.
Yep.
Intelligence plus politics.
Okay.
Nope.
I'll give that a go.
And that
Intelligence plus politics.
Okay. Albina, you've noticed some changes. Again, you're not a political... you don't really follow politics too heavily, so it's not surprising. Agatha, being from Capua, you've noticed changes in who is coming to the city and who isn't. Labiana especially, though. What you guys have noticed, Agatha and Labiana, is that certain families are getting more money. They are traveling more widely. And Labiana, there are positions like the consul that were once reserved for patricians that plebeians are now getting elected to. The divide between patrician and plebeian is really only visible in who can be a senator and who can't. The new divide in politics, and Labiana, this is for you, is between a faction called the Optimates and the Popularis. And that's basically traditionalists and people who want you to work for the success of the people broadly.
Okay.
By and large, the old patrician families and the senators are almost all Optimates, and most everybody else are Popularis factions.
Yes. Indeed, there does seem to be a shift, if you will, in the divide.
What do you think of this? Is it irreversible? Is it something to be taken advantage of? Give me some thoughts.
I think humans are progressing in some way, and we should adapt and take advantage of while adapting, as we did for centuries, I believe.
Could certainly be taken advantage of. I suppose it would be a point of looking at it from every angle and figuring out exactly how it can be taken advantage of and what benefits it would have for all of us, for everyone.
Hypothetical question. If there were no benefits, how would you reverse it?
Uh, well, simply you have to change the overall mindset of people in some fashion so that they slowly go back to their older ways, politics.
Perhaps look at what precisely caused the shift in the first place. Would be a good way to start.
Perhaps seeking to change society into something that more resembled the past, bringing past concerns to the forefront and doing away what concerns people in the present.
Perhaps more to the point. Should we change it?
I was just going to say that. If there truly isn't any benefit, then why change it?
Well, who says there's no benefit?
Oh, I wasn't saying that there wasn't. I'm just it was a hypothetical. I mean,
Who benefits? It feels like the numbers of the plebeians are growing larger, and they are starting to get some voice, right? So if this goes on like this steadily and increasing, then surely it will be the plebeians benefiting.
In my admittedly perhaps not entirely standard opinion, the ultimate rules of the board, so to speak, are still the same. It's just what arrangement the pieces are in so far that's changed. Trying to keep it to a certain order is foolish. Unless you plan to change the rules, you might as well work with it.
The population keeps growing. Rome keeps expanding its borders. It's only normal that there will be more plebeians and less. But the number of patricians will either stay the same or grow incomparably slower. Therefore, it is only reasonable to not avert the change, embrace it. Furthermore, plebeians should be more easier to influence rather than the patricians.
Now,
Being elevated from plebeian to a patrician role would carry a great currency with it.
I do think that there might be a way to, I don't know, change the current of the humans, but I think that is shock and awe tactic, which I personally do not encourage because while it might be successful in some fashion, it still creates other types of problem on its path. And shock and awe tactic in this kind of situation, I don't know what it would be, but it definitely will be a drastic change of the way things work in Rome.
It just so happens that I agree with you. I wanted to gauge your level of sympathy towards the traditionalist political faction. Without Artemis here to guide you, such things become more important. The traditionalists would seek to return so far back to the monarchy, to the days of my sire Collat, where we are merely passengers aboard the journey of the great city of Rome. We must seize command of the ship, as it were, as I did. And I wish to know, will you man the sails for me, or do I need to discard of you as dead weight? I believe you have satisfied me enough that I would like to offer you the chance to earn the ability to man the sails of the ship of Rome. Would you be interested in that?
Out of character question, does Prince right now suggesting us to make Rome an imperial empire?
No. He basically is drawing a metaphor to make you guys clients. Would you be willing to swear loyalty to him as clients?
Okay. I will, before speaking, look to my coterie members, to their eyes, and see their face expression.
Abner is not particularly surprised at this offer. She has half expecting it when she came here, but the way how he said that, he pretty much said, "You are either with me or you are against me." The way how he said about casting aside dead weight, so she does not think they have an option at this point.
No. Labiana does the same and looks to all the others too. And in a way also at the same time kind of conveys her thoughts as much as she can through her expressions to the others to say, I think we should do this. Sort of kind of nodding.
Hat's mostly looking at the others, curious to see what they do. She doesn't have much emotional reaction to the offer either way.
Nicodemus simply nods. Certainly, this is most gracious offer.
I think the offer is something I did not expect it, but most happily would like to accept.
So at this point, Labiana turns back to the prince, bows her head slightly. We would be honoured.
Well, lovely. In that case, let me come to my final point. All of this was to bring up that there is a man named Tiberius Gracchus in Rome. He is a child of two distinguished lineages, the Scipios and the Claudians. You may remember he was, this is the same Tiberius Gracchus of the Numantian debacle. This is the same Tiberius Gracchus who was the first over the walls of Carthage. He is a hero to the people of Rome. In his inner circle, they have talked very much about the population problem and the public land problem of Rome. The fact that so many men, women, and children are being forced off of their family farms and have nowhere to go but here. Our manpower to raise legions is suffering severely. I would like you to insinuate yourselves into his life. I believe that under normal circumstances, Tiberius would be going for a dial in this upcoming election cycle. I don't think that's where he's going. I would like you as a group to become part of his life, remembering the silence of the blood, of course. Learn his weaknesses, gain his confidence, protect him, and protect his younger brother Gaius. I believe Tiberius will be shooting for a way to protect Rome regardless of the Optimate's position. Would you be willing to do this for me?
Yes,
Of course.
that is going to be the target of retaliation.
I'm certain of it. If he does what I think he's going to do, he will very certainly be retaliated against. Perhaps not with violence, but there are many ways to retaliate.
I see no problem in doing this much.
Will you keep an eye on his enemies? Make sure they do not try anything.
That is part of what I need you for. Listen, put your ear to the ground. I will, if I learn anything, of course I will send you word, but I cannot devote my full attention to this task.
Character, I would love you to have another opportunity to read this all.
Sure, go ahead.
I have a question out
Okay.
of character. The Tiberius mission, is it connected to the La Sombra expansion, or are they irrelevant to each other?
Tangentially.
Oh, for God's sake.
Is there a way for me to maybe get a hint about the connection?
He was in Spain. He was helping to run a war in Spain. So that's kind of the connection.
Okay.
It's possible the La Sombra some La Sombra might be interested in dealing with him one way or another.
That might become useful.
Indeed.
Sorry, did Prince told us if he wants him to be not interacted by any other vampires or just protect him?
Protect him.
Okay. So we don't need to stop other vampires from talking or, contacting with him.
Correct.
Okay.
Though, if a Malkavian wants to speak to him, we might want to keep an extra close eye, given what they can do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, excuse me.
I thank you for listening to me ramble. I'm sure you do not wish to delay anything else. You guys can all get to roll intelligence plus politics. Agatha, you're going to be difficulty 7.
Okay.
All right. Albina, I don't know. Wow. I'm glad I'm giving you guys roles that don't require a terrible, that aren't terribly important. Alright. Nicodemus and Hatshepsut. You guys both succeeded mostly on that. I'm going to copy paste some stuff over on Discord for you. This is what is publicly known, widely and publicly known, about him and his family.
Ooh, excuse me.
Alright, there, Discord, boom. I'm not going to read all that out loud. Because you guys don't need to listen to me preach.
Okay, this might be a bad idea, but when he makes a comment about,
About what?
about thanking us, the whole, thank you for listening to me ramble. Hat probably just before she has time to really think fully about it, just quips, well, I was always told it's polite to listen to the old. This is probably a bad idea.
Make a self-control roll.
Uh-oh.
Can I spend a willpower on this?
Yes,
No.
you can.
Okay.
So what's the self-control for?
She has instinct. Haha. Alright, yeah, you succeed in biting your tongue.
Thank you for trusting us with such matters, my prince.
Yes, thank you for receiving us.
Indeed. We will let you know if we find anything of importance. We will try to get in contact if we find anything of importance. Till then, good evening.
Yeah, he knocks a piece of wood, like a gavel, and a servant comes in to escort you out. Takes your sandals off because of your clean footwear back, and helps you out the gate.
Okay.
Next up, Hummus.
Oh, Artemis.
While on the way to Artemis, just whispering to others while we are walking by. So, does anyone have any suggestion to how we will initiate the first contact?
I have a few ideas, yeah.
As well.
Okay.
In a kind
Everyone
of
should be getting information.
No.
What is he doing currently? And where does he hang out? When are the nearest elections?
They are coming up in a couple of weeks. He's putting it down to the wire. He has to announce his candidacy and begin campaigning soon, or he's going to miss his chance.
Is he flexing right now? Like waiting to do some campaigning?
So I guess it's easily obtainable to learn who is he campaigning for. Like you can ask a crier or something.
Yeah, like I said, he hasn't come out 100% yet and said yes, no, or maybe.
Okay.
He's keeping his cards very close to his chest at the moment.
Well, a feeling inside me is telling me that Artemis wants to talk about something similar to what the Prince Camillus did.
I wonder if he asks us to kill Gracchus.
Wouldn't that be an interesting rivalry?
We will have.
Maybe we shouldn't play our hands too fast and tell him that we are now under the patronship of Prince.
Doesn't need to know.
Yeah, he doesn't need to. He will learn it. Maybe in 2-3 hours, maybe tomorrow, but definitely he will learn it.
Yes, well,
Anyway,
I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
we
I
won't
was gonna
figure
say,
out.
what
Sorry.
if he offers patronage?
Well, he missed his chance.
Then we won't have a choice to tell him.
I mean, we are in the grasp of a lion right now. Do you want to risk fleeing from its grasp to find shelter in the grasp of a hyena?
Regardless, we won't figure all this out just standing around. Let's go. Let's go speak to him.
Indeed.
Okay, you guys have been here many times. You're very familiar with it. In the past 13 years, he's even helped you guys out a couple of times. So you make your way there. You are, of course, shown in promptly. You make your way through the very familiar surroundings once more. You are brought to the standard waiting room where he always puts you guys. And he comes in a few minutes later. There is one single candle burning in this entire room, which is typical. It's very dark, very dim. This is comes in. My friends, greetings. Thank you for coming. I do apologize for not greeting you at the door.
Oh, it's just quite alright.
Yeah.
I hope that they has been treating you well, my Hermes.
Jeez.
I have
It
come
is good.
across a few trinkets, which I thought you might like to look at. I have made it a habit to browse the merchants and have my people browse the merchants of Rome. I know of your interest in the artifacts of defeated Carthage, and I came across something I thought you guys might like to look at.
Of course. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Out of character, based on just, what I know of him, and what's the likelihood that he was putting more emphasis on looking after I told him about what I found?
Very little.
Okay.
He takes you out of the waiting room and deeper into the building. A slave brightens a couple. He lights a couple of lanterns, and he takes you to a table. And on the table is a book that's obviously missing pages, and it is gleams in the light, gleams of gold. And there is a couple of scrolls next to it, laid out and spread on the table.
So does it seem like the scrolls are the missing pages, or they're something completely?
Completely different. The book itself looks like it's gold that somebody drilled and put a binding in, so it's literally a book of golden pages.
Wow. Does it seem like pages were torn off recently?
You need to examine it closely.
Mm-hmm.
Visibly restraining the urge to jump to it so fast that she actually damages it.
If my memory serves, Priestess Albina Pallas was given some tutelage in the arts of Ishtar before the destruction of
Alright.
Carthage, and I believe that book might be of interest to you. Would you like to examine it?
Allow me.
A servant sets a lamp down and then next to it, and then backs away so that you can look at it.
Steps forward and starts gently looking through it, careful to not damage it.
What you see immediately, you don't even need to make a roll for this, is that there are pages missing. Somebody has very crudely cut or ground some of these pages off, probably melted them down for money.
It's solid gold.
It's very flimsy. It's not quite gold leaf, but it's pretty thin.
Can I tell how recent was that?
No, there's no way to tell. Unless you have Spirit's Touch.
No.
Ooh.
And even that might not be a time frame.
So La Vienna does.
It is genuine. If you make we're going to do a flat intelligence roll. Just flat intelligence, thinking back, casting your memory back. Three successes. You recall seeing this particular book, that you recall seeing the binding of it deep in the heart of the Temple of Ishtar when you were there. Now, you were never given the ability to look at it and examine it, but you remember seeing it.
I recognize this book. I saw it to never had the chance to actually look through it.
Interesting. Well, I think after seeing the torn pages, and if La Vienna can get in at some point and have a look, she would like to use Spirit's Touch. See if she might get any indication as to whether or not, the pages were just, as you suggested, torn out, melted down for gold, or whether there was an actual purpose for it.
Okay.
Whether pages were removed for a specific reason.
Are you going to tell that to Albina? Ask her to back away so you can approach and do that?
If she is, yeah, I'm going to fight for her.
I was approached at some point after this.
Okay. So you're going to touch it, explore it, run your fingers over it, feel the metal, smell it, just run your fingers over every carve and engraving, and attempt to call forth images of the book and the emotions associated with it. That is going to be perception plus empathy. We're going to call this difficulty 7. One success. With one success, there is an image in your mind. A man, older, maybe 30s, 40s, struggles into a marketplace and is negotiating with the merchant. The merchant gives him instead of buying the pages individually, he gives him a sum for the entire what's left of the book, because he wants to sell it wholesale instead of melting it down for parts.
Okay. So I'm guessing she doesn't notice anything about,
No.
whether
There's
the man is.
it's sunlight, but you are inside a building. One of the many market buildings. Doesn't seem to be anything unusual about the transaction. With only one success, and the emotion you're getting is hunger and regret and desperation.
Fair enough.
I think you can probably infer what has happened here.
Yeah.
I have a question. Does this book have some human-wise cultural importance, or is this Cainite stuff?
I will let Albina answer that.
Okay.
I think
Probably back away from it at this time.
the book it is primarily, from what I understand, just about the normal cult of Ishtar, right? There is nothing secret about it.
Well, I mean, it's secret, but it's secret for mortals. It's like the inner stories of a mystery cult, right? There's nothing
Yeah, but
Cainite about it.
No, there's nothing Cainite about it. Just a part of the normal human worship.
All right. Now, for the other item on the table here, this may be of interest to Nicodemus especially. As you can see, it's a couple of scrolls, and one of the scrolls came as a set. Unfortunately, they did come this damaged. There is some Phoenician phrases on here I've been able to make out. Something about pouring out your inner evil and purging your rage. And look at this painting here. If you look very closely, and he gestures Nicodemus in.
Painting on the scroll.
Correct.
Mhm.
There is some sort of marking on the head of the central figure here, and it's a central figure standing over a pit that's filled with something. It's hard to see in the light. You're gonna have to examine it with auspex to really see.
Yeah, if Nicodemus is allowed to, he would gladly inspect it in a more thorough way, both for Spirit's touch to just get a gauge of how the previous owner was treating this, and what else can be gleaned from this in the
Okay.
light.
So make the first just make the general perception roll, which is it's going to be perception plus crafts.
Okay. Perception plus craft.
Yeah.
Crafts.
Crafts, any kind of painting or drawing.
No skill at all. So that would be 7, right?
So yeah, correct.
I'm gonna spend willpower on this because this will be interesting to
Modified by auspex as appropriate.
Oh, so it drops to 5, right?
Correct.
Oh, and is it site-based actually?
Yes.
No point in spending them. Well, should have.
You can make the roll again. Spend a willpower.
Okay, I will. Is that like I spend the willpower to re-roll, right?
No, just re-roll. Spend a willpower.
And difficulty is higher for.
Nope, we're gonna do the same.
Okay.
Again,
Okay.
not. This is not make it or break it.
Okay, one success.
Sorry.
All right.
At
So
least it's not a bot.
with one success, what you are holding appears to be original. And there does appear to be some sort of markings, something on it that draws your attention, but in the light, it's just too dark. It's hard, very difficult to make out. You need better conditions. And now for Spirit's Touch. This
That
is
was
again going to be
perception.
difficulty 7. Perception plus empathy.
Uh-huh. Just one success.
Okay, so you get a very similar vision to what Labiena got. A man bringing in, according to the emotions you're absorbing, what seems to be his last valuable possessions, and selling them off to a merchant just to get some money.
As Nicodemus examines the scroll, he actually also, he probably converses with Artemis a little bit. So, where's the scroll from? How did he get it? And blah, blah, blah. But he also tries to get the man's expressions and see and figure out whether he's actually having some additional reason for bringing them here. Are these items the main course, or is there something more? Is he expectant in a specific way, or like he's burning to go to the merit of the meeting?
Well, since you asked the question, these are for sale, of course. I don't need money. Money's not the issue. I need a couple of favors, if these will suffice to pay the price.
What kind of favors?
The region of the Trastevere, which literally means beyond the Tiber, outside the city walls. So the region of the Trastevere has been of interest to me for some time. It's wild, largely undeveloped, and except for the dense neighborhoods right at the river, so I desire to make this part of my own domain. At one point, Abinadab watched over the Jewish buildings of this area. However, since he has departed, the gangrel have moved in. There's one in particular, a gangrel named Actian, who has been quite aggressive. He seems to have brought in a young gangrel with him as well. I had an unfortunate run-in with him a few weeks ago, and the wounds have only now fully healed.
Actian, a name that is familiar to us. One that has been with the enemy of Lady Artemis in the past.
I do not desire... First off, thank you for telling me that, because I did not know that. I don't desire death. I would like to offer a trade, these items, in return for your help in driving him off.
Alpazin, do you have a specific plan in which you want to get rid of the gangrel presence, or do you expect us to solve the problem?
I have some ideas. I think we could focus on finding out if we can figure out where they are sleeping during the day.
In the ground.
Correct. I think we could pressure them into leaving by arranging for observers to be there when he awakens, by tracking him down every night, by watching as he feeds. These actions could show to him that he does not have the ability to stop us if we desired his death, and they should encourage him to move along.
Wouldn't he kill them if he finds their existence, or if he detects them?
Possibly.
Or you...
But I don't want you to provoke a physical confrontation with him directly.
But of course, we'll defend
You
ourselves.
mentioned another gangrel with him. Do you know anything about who he is?
It is a she, and she appears to be much weaker.
Still a gangrel.
A child, perhaps?
Perhaps. He was not in the mood to talk. The gifts of Set allowed me to survive his claws long enough to retreat back to my fastness here.
He attacked you.
Yes, he did.
Are you okay?
Well, as I said, it took me a few weeks, but I have healed.
Out of character question, doesn't that allow him to have something to go to the prince and tell this? Like, isn't this an advantage for him, for Artemis, to go prince and tell the gangrel attacked him?
Are you asking that in character or out of character?
Out of character.
Okay, I'm not going to answer that.
Okay. Like vampire politics wise, if like
This
traditions.
is a vampire politics issue, and he has his reasons.
Okay.
Do we actually know whose area is this? Is there an explicit domain, or is it like a rogue takeover by the general?
It's nobody's domain. It was very well known that, as Artemis specifically said, Abinadab watched over the Jewish people of that area.
Right.
Well, he's not there anymore.
He was technically his domain.
Is the former domain of Abinadab
Well,
is close to woods?
Trastevere is a huge region. Huge. The Jewish population lived in an extremely small portion of that.
Mm-hmm. What happened to this Jewish community? They move out?
No, they're still there.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I don't care about taking over. If you're concerned that my goal is only to take over Abinadab's domain, you may set those concerns aside. As I have no desire to make any claim over his people. I wish the region as a whole. And if he were to return to Rome and once again take up residence in that area, I would be more than happy to make my acceptance clear.
Okay. So this is a chance you give him, a second chance.
Don't phrase it like that. This is not me giving him a chance. This is me recognizing his claim.
Out of character. Aside from the obvious potential issues of time split, can I think of any potential way that this goal might come into conflict with what the prince has asked us to do?
Yeah.
What's in this region, actually? Is that like a rich agrarian place?
It's a lot of open land. It's a lot of public land. There near the river, though, it's densely populated. A lot of people go over the river to feed there.
And which human politician does control over that region, specifically the Jewish region?
None. It's like asking what human politician controls certain neighborhoods.
Okay, yeah.
I imagine that getting rid of the gangrel may actually make the region more profitable. After all, I doubt that the gangrel take kindly to humans using his land as pasture.
I don't wish you to... What I need is some help driving the gangrel off. That's all the help I need. I'm not asking you to kill him. I'm not asking you to stick around afterwards and observe as I tried to lay claim to it. I'm sure you have your own efforts and your own plans to work on.
Of course.
I see
Well-
no issue with at least looking into this.
This is, I guess, a decision that depends on Albina and Nicodemus if they want to buy these relics. And if we want to help them, is a thing we can discuss between ourselves in a private place.
I see no issue in assisting you with such matter, Artemis. Seems to be a fair price for such relics. But I'd like to haggle with you for your assistance in finding the remaining pages of this book.
If I find them, I will obtain them and let you know.
Then I believe we can strike a deal. I believe it is acceptable.
Excellent. Do the rest of you agree?
Like I said, this is a decision between Nicodemus, Albina, and you. The decision of us helping them is something we can discuss in a private place, Artemis.
I'm perfectly fine to take a look at this issue.
Well,
no
I tell
objection.
you what, I will have my servants store these in a safe, secure location so they will not be damaged. And when you have made a final decision, come and let me know. You are, of course, welcome to return and examine them at any time.
Hmm.
Of course, thank you.
Allow me to escort you back to the door.
Thank you, kindly.
Always a pleasure, Artemis.
Any telling how he's thinking on how that went?
No, not really. He's he's a merchant at heart. He always smiling, always happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go to our haven if we do not have anything else to do for the night
No other pressing business.
and discuss about this.
Okay. All right, that sounds like a good place to take. Let's take 10. We'll come back in 10. Okay, we're back. So you guys have are back at your group haven. Decided you were going to have some time to discuss your options and what you want to do.
Agatha will start once we settle down. Well, I have no problem helping you deal with the gangrel, but I do want you to understand that this is a gangrel nonetheless, and that Hamus himself said he is quite an aggressive one. So while we might try to be, not physically confronting, he might become physically confronting over us. And it is, a danger considering the clothes they have. Do we understand it? Do we understand the related danger?
Yes. Yes, I believe that we're all agreeing to this under that understanding.
Another thing, of course, we cannot expect anyone offering us something in exchange of a favor will tell us every detail that needs to be known, every truth. So there might be something that we are getting into that we are not aware of, something that will not be good for us. We have to maybe try to find if that thing exists, or this is truly just what Ihamus said, right?
Maybe we could go and talk to the gangrel before we agree to the plan of ousting him out.
That's a great idea, I think. I mean, he's quite aggressive, but he was quite aggressive to Ihamus, not to us, right?
He's unlikely to be any more friendly to us considering our relationship with Artemis.
I mean, maybe then Labiana, Hatshepsut, and I should go and talk with him, and while you guys stay back.
Chris, during previous session, the Assamite Gulzar mentioned he mentioned a gangrel. Who are they?
The gangrel that are loyal to Rome use the Forum Bararium, which is essentially the city meat market.
Okay, so he's not loyal to Rome. That's all about it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea. Maybe those of us that wasn't with Artemis from the beginning can go and see him and talk with him. You know, not in aggressive tone or anything, just see his perspective of the situation and then come to a conclusion. I mean, look, I can empathize with you seeing something that is very, very much of your interest, an item or anything, and you want it in your hands, in your possession. I really understand. But consider this. If you are not existing anymore, then that item is useless to you.
My question to you, Chris, was about in terms of perhaps they would know something about Action and what is his current agenda and current plans. Do we know if this gangrel was around here for a while? What was he doing with Rome?
They might. You can certainly go talk to them about it.
Okay.
As Albina mentioned, I think it was Albina mentioned, Actian is a name that's familiar to you as being an enemy of Artemis. His sire and his grandsire were traditionally the gangrel that roamed these lands, and they were displaced. And in fact, Nicodemus, you and Albina witnessed the sanctioned diablerie of his grandsire.
Okay, so this was his.
So he might be quite aggressive to Nicodemus and Albina, actually, considering you were there.
That's assuming that he knows who they are. You're making making a big assumption about the political knowledge of a gangrel.
I know, but you know, grief is strong motivation. Grim, I think. Either case, I still think, considering we want a friendly talk with him, we should leave Nicodemus and Albina behind, just in case it might have some negative impact on the first impression, first contact.
Considering the past, I don't think he's just going to leave under pressure. He'll likely
Now, another thing important, gangrels, as you probably know, well, they do have some companions of like animal nature, like wolf or whatever, dogs, wild dogs, who knows. And we do know that he has another gangrel with himself, which probably would have his own or her own pets, wildlife pets. So I just want to say that we are not facing, if things come to fist fighting, we are not facing just two vampires. We are talking about two vampires with several, animal companions that can shred our throats.
Worse, they can be used to completely sabotage Ihamus's suggested plan.
Yes, that is indeed true. I mean, birds can be quite, I guess, problematic when you want to stalk someone, or rats, or cats, or dogs, whatever you name it. I mean, yeah, that's the truth. So do we understand all of these risks, right?
You do not need to be present to with him. And he said you just need to send people that can pin his toes when he goes to sleep.
I mean, that's a plan I would like to stick to, but we have to understand, just because we plan to do so doesn't mean it will be successful. I mean, do we know anything at all about the the child of this gangrel? We might be thinking too much stereotypic of their kind, but she might be quite cunning, politically competent, strong, mentally character. Who knows? So never underestimate your enemy, more so if you do not know most thing about your enemy. Right? That's the important lesson.
So desire to first get the information on this girl that he has taken.
Yes. I mean, look, I must say it, he's going to store the items. I don't know how long, but he will store the items. In the meantime, I suggest that we gather some information about these targets and then make a decision. Because if we get our hands into dirt too deep, then we will be stuck. And I think that is the last thing we want to do at this moment of our undead life. Considering we just become, the thing of Prince, and we are, well, right in the middle, essentially. No hasty decisions, I say. Just, do not let the treasure deceive you. What do you say, Het? You probably know much more about your cousin, if that is the correct term, than us. So what do you think?
Honestly, I am not sure.
Well,
Even aware of all the times I've interacted with him, he is still nonetheless very good at keeping his cards close to his chest, as it were.
That's, of course, a good way to say, enforce my way of thinking. that he's definitely not telling us the whole picture, describing the whole picture, and that's why we must be careful with any decision we make before accepting that kind of mission. So yes, as I suggested, let's gather information about these two Gangreal before we actually decide anything. Does everyone agree? Suggestions? Anything?
Well, that's always prudent.
I can go and see if I can get a hold of this gangrel. Perhaps they know what Action wants and if there's a way to influence him. Ultimately, I'm not sure if there's anything other in this case in to Ihamus's motive other than just seizing control over a very lucrative land, especially considering the problems on the land side. It's probably good business for him, but
Oh, it's definitely good business for him.
but agreeing agreeing to help him get rid of this gangrel may be more challenging than the rewards we get from. Perhaps it's worrisome that that it may consume us more than we want, especially considering that now our efforts should be considered primed greatly upon this mission from the precepts.
I think you spoke wisely. The situation right now is foremost dependent on you and Albina, because it is, of course, the mission is, of course, brought to surface because of treasure that you two might find interesting, tempting, and that is why I try to focus at your decision right now. But we must understand that the prince wants us to accomplish a different task, and we have to achieve that. And dealing with the gangrel while trying to achieve that, and then getting into trouble with the gangrel or any other trouble that is connected to the gangrel, might be a stupid consequences of decisions, stupid decisions.
I guess it doesn't have to be. I mean, for all intents and purposes, outside of our tasks that are allocated to us by the prince, if we choose to do this task for Artemis, ultimately we will be serving Rome in a different way. If you put it that way.
There are several ways we can that does not risk getting into the claws of the gangrel.
I will say this much. I highly doubt that he would ask us to perform a task that he thinks will harm us beyond any potential further deals.
Oh, I definitely don't question that truth, but the fact he sends us to a decently safe favor doesn't mean we will get ourselves into a worse situation, because as a warrior I knew told me, once you get a punch to your face, all plans goes woof. So, as I say, I don't question that he's sending us to a rather safe mission. It's just that we might make stupid decisions, things might go unlucky, We might think that we are doing something good, but it is not. Who knows? And those things can lead to future issues, worse issues, and might become too much for us to deal with while we have to impress our new patron.
Another thing to investigate is the actual nature of the land in question.
That's also true. I mean, he
In there that preferably be better left alone. Like in my paranoid consideration, I had a thought that perhaps this belongs to the Gracchus family, as far as mortal wise goes. There's a significant connection. That would be a funny coincidence, and it would certainly hamper our main mission.
That's true. I mean, the land. Ihamus didn't tell us too much about the land. He just told us he wants the whole land for himself, and the people are not so important for him. But this, I understand. I think that you understand is a quite hidden meaning. There is no, information behind that sentence. That is why we should get more information about the land.
It matters
Sounds
who
like-
owns the mortal side.
I was just about to suggest that it certainly wouldn't hurt to at least talk to the people involved, get a sense of exactly what the situation is, and see exactly what it is we may be able to do if, and I stress if, we choose to accept the task.
That is also true. I mean, there are many ways to get information about the situation, and it's one of them. We can talk with the people, we can talk with the gangrel in question, we can learn more about the land through other means, we can learn more about the gangrels in other means. We can go do some exploration about the political importance of the Jewish neighborhood. I mean, I don't know much about the Jews, but aren't they like rich people?
Well, of that I certainly do not know. But I also bear to mind that it would also pay to consider that, as unlikely as it may seem at the moment, Abinadab may indeed return.
That's true. And I was going to comment, but it's on you, Nicodemus, to think about if Abinadab returns and sees the domain is taken.
If Abinadab returns, I'm sure that he will not appreciate having a gangrel poaching on his people.
Would he appreciate a Setite in his domain? I cannot speak in his name. I think best we can think about what Abinadab would think would come from the
I'll be right back
mouth
real
of
quick.
Nicodemus.
Amusingly enough, I would consider that I would think that it would be far easier for Abinadab to deal with the gangrel rather than to deal with the Setite ownership.
I can see that's being the potential. To be honest, the physical focused brutes are quite easy to deal with, while if you have the cunning mentality and the skills. But a person of Ihemus's caliber, they are more than just fists and muscle. They do have connections and other stuff, and they can become like a tree in a location quite fast. So yes, I do agree.
Chris, has Abinadab even this case, this neighborhood, this Jewish neighborhood he was protecting? That wasn't his domain per se. He was just probably looking.
It was unofficial. Everybody knew he did it.
But
question.
but he left no specific instructions on how to deal with this case.
Nope, he just left.
Yeah. People leave and they return without any notice. We cannot simply presume the future. We can just assume. Sorry, we cannot see the future. We can just assume. And I think the biggest decision, if we also want to take Abinadab's former domain and give it to someone else, well, it's mostly your word, Nicodemus, that matters, considering I believe, the emotional connection between you and him. Is a art piece worthy enough for that kind of a sacrifice? I guess silence answers my question. Do we want to come to a conclusion tonight, or do we want to take our time, give some time to our friend Albina and Nicodemus to think about the situation?
I will leave that to them.
My position is that we should take the off
Will they
and
decide?
let Ranger off.
I'm back. What did I miss?
Now come
Not
back.
much.
Listen,
We can start investigating the matter. I will probably need some personal guarantees from my house, if at all I'm going to consider it. But for now, we can at least start investigating the matter. All the same, if it happens that I will not want to involve myself into this scheme of Ihamus, this doesn't exclude your involvement in it. I
of
may not.
course,
I may this decision in which I will not want to involve myself with it. I'm sure you understand why this might be the case.
of course.
You're free. You're free to decide on your own. I will not stop you and will not hold any ill thought about.
I think all of us here is quite immersed enough in our world to know that this is an understandable thing. And it is also why I am bringing all these topics right now to ourselves. This is an important thing, and we must be clear on who feels what. And it's an important information that we all should be aware of, because we are a coterie in the end, and we are the first people that will look out each other's back against the enemies of ourselves.
Yes.
If a conflict occurs between each other, between us, that's a problem. Weakest, well, the army is as strong as the weakest member of itself.
Labian at this point, presumably standing somewhere near Nicodemus, kind of reaches up a bony hand and sort of rests it on Nicodemus's shoulder.
I
We are here, of course, as you would well know, because we will choose to support you, you know, in matters such as these.
I personally think, considering everything and looking this through the most possible logical perspective, I do think that this is something we should not accept. While the treasure might be quite well, we do have important troubles in our hand that we must solve before we can go into these personal extra stuff in our life. A treasure piece is not the most important thing for us at the moment. We have more, survival matter that we must deal with, considering that we lost our former patron, and now we have a new, fresh patron that is probably expecting us to accomplish several good stuff that will benefit himself, and trying to do several stuff at the same time, getting too diverse, too spread out, it's not a good thing. It's never been a good thing.
Let's see where we stand first. Artemis has not given us a set time and date to answer this offer. Perhaps if we tarry for long and gather all information we can, this will not affect the final deal, whatever it may be.
The longer we allow the Ganger to create roots, the harder it will be to dislodge him.
I think this is beside the point. He's already pretty enlarged in waiting several days or weeks. I don't think this will change a thing.
That's true. Remember what Artemis said. He had to rest several weeks to actually heal all of the harm the Gangrel did to him. That does conclusively mean Gangrel had weeks to further enforce his might over the domain. We are not, if we decide to do this right now, we are not going to deal with a small, tiny group of animals and 2 Gangrel. We are possibly will deal with more than that. Maybe much more than that.
To be fair, there's no finesse in how, at least I don't believe so. There's little finesse in how a gangrel takes over. They don't build the base of influence. They don't gather herd. They don't gather servants and ghouls, and they're solitary by nature. So they just stroll in, and this is theirs.
Then, isn't it weird that this Gangrel is with his own child? They are together in a rather urban neighborhood.
It's not urban, it's suburban.
It's suburban? Okay.
Well, he's
suburban
training him. Either it's a direct child or maybe someone influence. I wonder if this can be used as a leverage.
That is, the answer to that lies gathering enough information. I simply do not wish to assume too much about their mindset. There are always exceptions to what is accepted by the majority, and this is why I don't really want to assume that these people are simply brutes that come here, show their fangs and claws and say, get the fuck out, this is my domain. They might be more than that.
So how about this? Why don't we find out everything we possibly can about the situation before making our decision?
I think that's what we are
Wild
considering.
now.
But find out as much as we can, as quickly as we can.
Yeah, it seems like at least 3 of us wants that. What about Albin and Hatshepsut?
I am perhaps biased towards wanting to help my clanmate.
I believe that feeling this as quick as possible would be the best way to do this, but if the rest of the coterie desire to gather information, I'll do my best to assist.
That's great. Well, I think the majority is settled. We did the voting here, and we should start gathering information as quick as possible. I will send, if possible, my contacts through and use some other stuff to get more information, see what I can find. In the meantime, I hope that you also do the same thing, and if we accumulate enough information in a time period, then we should definitely have a clear picture of what we want to do.
Indeed.
Splendid. What about the Gracchus fella?
Oh, that one. Well, we have to initiate a relationship with him that is going to be definitely not discreet in a fashion, in a sense. So there's, several ways we can do it. We can go like surprise we exist, show up in a tavern, talk with him, or we can initiate through diplomacy, patrician contacts, or some other means. We could, do a shady business deal and eventually make that lead us to him physically.
What out of character? Aside from like land reform and related stuff, is much known about his positions?
Well, I mean, that's the major thing, is that he is very gung-ho on... He sees that as the major issue that's going to affect Rome. It is the singular issue that will determine if they can even field an army.
How about we approach him under guise of wanting to lend the support of our cult?
I think that's not the. I think we can consider some other options before deciding on that.
First, we do not even actually need to approach him. We can make use of secret messages that drops for communication with him. Subtle signs given to him by means of third parties.
Out of character, Chris, can my allies arrange a communication with me and him, the politician?
Yes,
Tiberius.
they will ask for a favor in return, but yes.
Of course. I mean, they are my allies. I will do a favor for them in exchange of a favor. So, look, I can definitely arrange a meeting with Tiberius using my allies. It will be most definitely an option that is possible if we want to do it. It might not be the best, it might not be the fastest or the safest, but it is a definite option that will definitely happen. If that's what we want.
Sorry, my headset just cut out for a while there. What did I miss?
Anyway, to meet with Gracchus. Apparently, we could also try to approach him using your position in the siege of Carthage as a way to get close to him.
Sorry, repeat that, please.
We are currently trying to figure out different ways that we can approach Gracchus. One of the ideas that we could use would be to use the position in the siege of Carthage to approach him, or participation in it.
Agatha also offered to use her allies to arrange a meeting.
And we're talking about the Gracchi, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, did I cut out before I mentioned the cult thing?
No, Agatha dismissed that idea.
Oh, why?
No, I just say there might be better options. Let's come back to that later.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we can definitely use the veteran thing, the I don't know, sense of brotherhood in Battlefield. That will, I mean, look, he's a human. He might have some patriotic feelings. He's done some, warrior might stuff. So I would understand if he would definitely accept that as a reason to meet with us.
Of course, in that only truly Nicodemus could approach him as a fellow warrior, since we are all females.
The problem is that you need to be believable as a veteran, because a veteran will recognize a non-veteran. No problem. That's assuming you want to keep the guys up.
And me and Labiana have childers that have a background in the legions.
I think your child would be a better option. No offense, Laviana, but it would be hard for to not raise some questions.
None taken, and I absolutely agree on this particular occasion.
Crypto is a good idea. At least to just have him as a...
Another important thing we should consider, if and when we show up front of him, are we going to be all of us? That might be a little too scary, considering just 6 or 5 guys shows up front of him. Or is it going to be like a pair of us, one of us, 3 of us? I don't know. I definitely think some of us should not show up front of him.
Yes. On that, I may also make another suggestion. Probably for a first meeting, it might not be a good idea to bring me along. You know, out of character, hashtag vibes.
Unless we can build a story about how we are wronged by the current system and that we want to support him.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think lending out, is a simple thought. Right now, things going on for the poor mortals are having tremendous destructive impacts, particularly on, say, members of our cult. We have a clear reason to want to lend support, so we could very easily approach him and say, however covertly or overtly he wishes, we're willing to aid his campaign.
It's definitely good way to approach. Now, let me say this. If we decide to follow the path of the veteran to meet with him, that will mean we will go there from the 0 or at least 1 and then tell him we want to help him. That means he will probably consider us as not so good at politically stuff, but still useful assets. If we decide a more political approach to him, he might think that we are politically strong and useful assets. The difference between these two options can be the important result of if we will have a good relationship with him fast or not so fast. If you understand what I mean.
I think we don't need to over dramatize too much. Um, the veteran angle is really simple because we only need at least one or two people to get into the initial meeting. Get the vibe of sympathy with him, connect him through the deeds in Carthage, and then those who are chosen to represent may mention that they also have friends, and therefore we establish contact as a whole group. And at this point, it doesn't matter if some of us aren't veterans, because it will shift automatically in that we share the common goal. The cult idea is interesting. But do we actually align with the political thinking as far as the cult goes?
Is that out of character?
That's the big question.
Out of character, I'd assume that the members of our cult are going to be people who have been negatively affected by all this shit.
Yeah, you guys tend to recruit vulnerable people, people
Yeah.
who need help. If I remember right, you guys said you target perhaps pregnant widows, things like that.
Yeah.
Jordan.
So they are
People,
probably pretty likely to support Tiberius if they're citizens and allowed to vote.
and
So
even if they're not directly allowed to vote, people on the street supporting him is always a useful asset.
Mm-hmm.
I the following concerns, like with the veteran angle, we can be pretty much invisible, but once we align our cult with him, and this will impact us in negative manner should his plan flop, should his movement flop.
That's true. Also,
Let's assume that it's so if we assume that we're going to be successful, it's definitely worth it. And if it's definitely worth it, why not try both plans in case one of them flops?
As the backing of the prince to back him would be also be seen as a sign of closeness with the prince, I imagine.
I have to ask, how strong is our cult, considering that if we use the cult to initiate or future initiate a relationship with him, would it come handy? Is the cult strong enough to actually come handy? Or will it be a little too minor force to be reckoned?
Well, again, we don't need it to be. If we can just get a few moments of his time, even if it's only a small advantage that we're able to give him, when you're dealing with this kind of political stuff, you take every advantage you can get.
That's true.
If people say they're going to help you, you don't just say, no, fuck you.
That's why we actually might have a pretty big chance on succeeding on this, because he probably needs mainly numbers to just show how big force he's reckoned with, and he'd probably welcome the cult with open arms. But we should also consider that any enemies he might have, all these traditionalists that will fight the whatever reforms he wants to introduce, once they learn the cult is supporting, will knock on the cult on the temple door with a pitchfork and torches. So we better invest in some security.
Oh, I think that should be a simple matter. I've been, relatively speaking, I've got, I can always start putting up more wards and regularly updating them.
Uh,
Very well. I think we should try both angles.
okay.
Like some of us go and pitch the veteran thing and
Me-
suggest that there's also some friends and can also hit them with the cult.
I think, I think we can do this, like each of us can do this from several angles and approach to him from various positions. We can also do all of this together as a group. I do suggest that the cultist approach with Het, veteran approach with Albina's child, and maybe I can approach from the political side. And if we can have this illusion that these things we are doing are not connected to each other, that we are, not connected to each other, we are just different people wanting to help him, it might be a little bit safer, considering that if one of us fails or something goes wrong for one of us, it will only be that person burning and not all of us.
On the other hand, if he realizes that we are connected and didn't tell him, I imagine he's going to be a bit suspicious.
He might be suspicious if he hears that. Oh well, maybe not.
Well, that's a risk, you see. No matter what we decide, there is a risk of turning us into suspicious figures. It's not possible for us to prevent this from happening. There's always this one thing that we do not consider that will hit us from somewhere. It might be another vampire sticking their nose to the thing we are trying to succeed, or it might be...
I think for this one we should try and keep it simpler and come together. Lead in with Albina's child as a veteran, and then the rest of us as representing the cult and connections.
Okay. One more thing then. Albina, I do know that your child is quite the warrior, right? I mean, he's a soldier.
That is correct.
Although, is he capable in the, talking, art of talking, stuff like that, politics? Do you think that there's a risk when he meets with the Tiberius, he will fuck up socially?
I never had much concern for his social abilities back when he was a ghoul, so I cannot say quite how experienced he is in that area. But I do not believe he's going to be offensive to Tiberius in any way, even if he might be more crude than what I myself am.
I do have an out-of-character question. Would it be okay thing if Albina went there to meet with Tiberius with his child in disguise of being his wife? Like, would that be okay, or is it expected that Mercurio has to go there alone and meet with Tiberius alone?
It doesn't seem right. The veteran angle is building a sense of camaraderie. The more I think about it, perhaps the cult gives us more playing on our terms, because we get our best two social speakers to actually coin the alliance, as it were, rather than relying on someone who isn't specialized in it. I mean, you have to have some sort of guts to speak to a talented politician without flinching and spin a half-truth.
Yeah. Well, then it is expected that your Mercurio will go there, meet with him, and just go full on patriot No bullshit, no lies, no intrigue or anything, just straight ahead patriotism, the sense of, brothership, men at arms, we fought side by side, that kind of mortal stuff.
Yes.
Even thinking about that thing makes me giggle a little. Well, I think that's settled too. It seems like this has been a quite productive discussion. Is there anything else we want to discuss about?
How exactly do we plan on finding out more information?
About the former discussion? Well, I assume that we use ourselves to gather some information. We use our money, our contacts, our allies, influence, everything we got to gather information.
Sorry, I cut out. I was asking, how do we plan on getting more information about the gangrel?
Like I said, using our backgrounds, our connections, or various kind, nature. We can also try to do it ourselves. Just go there, like maybe San Nicodemus with his obfuscate.
Can arrange to have the shadows keep an eye on him.
And that's also true. The shadows are quite useful. I've seen that with my own eyes.
Oh, well, Olga is not necessarily talking about the shadows as you were thinking. She has another trick up her sleeve.
Did she pick up that one ritual?
Maybe.
Nice.
We have two perfect information gatherer, stealthy person in our coterie. This is a great way of individually gathering information. It's just a little riskier if you fuck up. And I think we also have other means of gathering information that is not so much physically connected to us and a little safer.
In fact, my thoughts was perhaps one of the things we could certainly do is utilise, our contacts, connections, even our ghouls and retainers. Visit the people during the day and see what they can find out from that side.
I think only one of us has a ghoul. I think the rest has embraced their ghouls, if I'm correct. There's been quite embraces happening the past years.
I have a new ghoul after. Well, I technically have two new ghouls after, my old three all died at once.
Oh yeah. Was it 3-4 arrows? Was it plebeians killing them? It was like my dog dying. It's such an unlucky waste of resources. Although it is nice that you got something else, in return.
All right, well, you guys have been at this for half an hour. What are you deciding here?
With starting to well, we gotta find him, the Gracchus first. So
that's super easy.
So once that is easy, I guess we just ask for an audience during evening hours and have ourselves prepared. I think that would be for Hat.
Before we prepare ourselves, just a question about Tiberius, Gracchus. Do we know what god he mostly worships? and what kind of expectations he have other people, as in looks, behavior, stuff like that. Just a little bit of information about his core personality traits, like I did in the text channel.
Meaning that he is within the traditional Roman culture, most certainly he stands behind Jupiter and Mars.
Okay.
Once again, you're asking questions that you failed the politics roll, so you don't know.
Okay.
I guess we just need to go and
Yep.
Let's go.
and present our case and see what he does. If he rebukes us, then we'll try to think something else.
Yep.
We can
Let's not. Okay. Let's.
talents, but perhaps playing more open cards with him first is going to get us further.
These people are dangerous. They seem quite straightforward with their approach, but they might be cunning behind the curtain. They might be more than we anticipate. So really, we have to be careful with our wording. However, warrior like he might seem, there might be quite a deadly politician behind the facade. Every flick of eyes, every moment, every word we spoke matters.
Even remain somewhat nearby with my homunculi if necessary.
I think we shouldn't bring any creepy stuff to the thing. Well, I mean, it's creepy in the eyes of humans, not for me. I think it's quite fascinating what you are capable of.
Should Labiana be brought into presence, best wear some kind of veil and tell the story of being scarred by fire or something.
I think you should. I think Labiana shouldn't come, and we should just let her know what we talk about, what happened after the meeting.
Maybe while we. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I was going to say I really don't think they would appreciate my creepy aura, if you will.
Perhaps in the meantime, you could look a bit into the angle situation.
Yeah, I mean, your hand can be quite useful in that.
Indeed, I could give us a start on that one.
Your hand and eye. Sorry. Thanks for correcting me. Okay, that's settled then. Let's rock and roll.
Okay, so you are essentially sending a message to the family of Tiberius Gracchus asking for a meeting based on a fellow veteran needs to talk to you. Is that how you're approaching this?
I thought we were going with the cult thing.
I think we're leaning on the political. We want to discuss supporting your campaign thing.
Okay. All right.
Okay, let's make a point.
So
here.
Essentially, you send a messenger. You pay out a few coins. You send a boy over there with some to ask for an invitation. You get an appointment a couple of nights from now for when you're going to show up. Okay. Before that happens, before you show up, he announces his candidacy, not for a dial, but for I don't know why I'm suddenly blanking out on the name, and I got it written here right in front of me. Tribune.
Tribune.
Tribune of the people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He is running for tribune. He is elected not to follow the path to become consul.
Isn't that a position that ends up with assassination most of the time for people? In Roman history, at least?
No.
I think this is where the precedent gets set, is a thing.
Tribunes, once elected, you are not allowed to touch them. Like, you can't even lay a hand on them physically.
That's theoretically speaking, though, right?
No,
Not
that is
necessarily.
the force of law. You touch them, even touch them, without their express permission, you are basically going to be executed.
Isn't that applicable to any higher up political office?
Tribunes, I don't know about senators. I know it's the law for tribunes.
Okay. And, sorry, the expected position you said, not tribune, the other one.
A dial.
What does a dial? What does it do?
Master of Public Relations.
Okay.
They are an accountant, and they run the games, and they do a bunch of public stuff. Pretty powerful.
Yeah, but tribune is better.
Well,
Right.
he needs tribune to do what he wants to do.
Okay. And I assume once he becomes tribune, people will be quite happy.
I don't know. He's not tribune yet.
Okay. But we should make him a tribune. This is what I understand from what Prince wants us to do. Help him
And,
achieve.
well, our main job is just to make sure he doesn't get killed.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay.
That's the perspective.
Okay.
So the one thing to remember is that we want to inject ourselves into his ranks or some such. I'm not sure if providing a cult backing is going to instantly put us in such a good grace, but perhaps mentioning that there are capable men among the faithful is going to pave the road towards this angle.
I mean, if nothing else, it will mean establishing a broader line of just a more general, consistent communication. Because we'll need to talk to support him.
Yeah, maybe then we can utilize the veteran angle to enforce a closer relationship once the cult has been established.
Maybe.
Look, he's going for the people voice position, if I understand it correct. That just means having more people, plebeians, behind your back is quite useful, good thing, I assume.
No, that's not the thing I'm considering. It's just that we need to be physically closer to him than just being just one of the many voices. But
yeah.
But was his political agenda, political program been announced along
Yes.
with this?
Yes, his main issue is land reform.
Mm-hmm.
That
Right.
is less acre for each people, more acre for each people.
The ability to own their own land and not just.
It's not just that. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We're going to make this part of the discussion when you talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Fast forward 2 nights.
So in the meantime, there's probably some information gathering about the gangrel. I guess we can do it later.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that.
Okay.
All right, so we fast forward 2 nights. You go
sorry.
ahead.
Just before we head in, Should I make an etiquette roll to know the proper way to greet someone like this?
Sure, I think that is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, refresh ourselves on the etiquette.
I would like to do that too, now that I have etiquette.
What attribute?
Intelligence.
Okay. Do-do-do.
Well, I have no etiquette, so
It's been coming quite handy.
So even if she's would Labiana be able to help in that respect? To prepare them before they...
Well, I don't think they need it. Are you guys dragging poor Mercurio along with you or not?
Yes.
Okay, have him make a roll, please.
Oof.
Oof.
Mercurio,
that's not a botch.
he's pretty rough. The rest of you guys all avoid embarrassing yourself. Mercurio is what he's the frat guy who walks in. Yo, dude, what's going on, man? Haven't seen you in forever. At least he didn't botch and insult him.
Yeah, maybe Tiberius likes that kind of thing.
All right, so you are shown to a exquisite residence on the Palatine Hill.
Mm-hmm.
You are you enter into the atrium. They servants greet you courteously. You are refreshed. Your garments are cleaned. They show you into the dining area where the Gracchi is having a discussion with several people. As the servants walk in, they are giving you a quick rundown. Tiberius, his younger brother Gaius, and Tiberius's father-in-law, actually, Appius Claudius Pulcher. Appius is extremely famous. He is the man who, whenever the Senate meets, is allowed to speak first.
Is he an old person?
He is old. He's like 70.
oh man, that's enough.
Is it the old man in Rome series that can't speak and screams to people? Senate like, here's this person will talk now.
He is honored. When the Senate meets, he gets to stand up and say, "I have right of first talking."
Okay, gotcha. Cool. And they are sitting at the table and discussing something.
So they are discussing something as you walk in. Now you notice Gaius is maybe in his early 20s. Very fit, in shape. He's got this voice of power, and he's saying something to his brother, and I don't understand why don't you just tell the Senate what you want them to do? Why won't they listen to you? I just don't understand why they can't see reason. And he's getting super emotional, and his brother's going, guys, just calm down. And the father's kind of talking too. I said, it's going to be okay. We're going to explain it to them. He's helping me craft some legislation for the law, and you can see lined up on the table are stacks of paper. You can't really see it from the angle you're at, but they're all kind of like loosely stacked on top of each other. Little paperweights on them to keep them from blowing everywhere. As the servants enter and announce you, he turns around and he says, greetings, you guys all introduce yourselves. Mercurio is kind of a bore. Everybody else, you're okay. And he says, well, I appreciate you coming to see me. I've laid out a table for you. Please, here, sit, join us, have some wine. Servants begin pouring wine. They lay out plates of cheese and grapes and some bread, a little bit of beef and that fish sauce. Here, I know it's getting a little late, but have some food. And he sits down and waits for you guys all to sit down. And he says, "So what? There is one other person in this room. There is a female who is sitting in the corner, and she looks rather a lot like." As soon as I call up my file of character pictures.
But picking up.
Oh, your voice is going. Time to change server. It's been going so good for such a long time.
Bill. What?
No.
And that.
That would always be kind of funny.
Gracchus just takes out his mask and there's Bill.
Come on. She looks like this.
It's a spoiler. There, I click it.
Yes, click it. It's not that
What are we
spoilery.
clicking? Okay. That is. This is the woman with that?
It's a woman, and she's there with him.
Okay.
Oh, that's quite exotic.
Is this the wife of Tiberius?
You have no idea.
Okay. Will that be a fair assume?
She's sitting there, and she is eating food.
Okay.
I'd say just best not to make any assumptions. Just like don't bring it up unless it comes up. But anyway,
Let's just read our.
You didn't hear it from me about our read.
I mean, she seems out of place.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe this guy is quite the romantic guy and like.
By the way, she is wearing a wig. So she's not bald, she's wearing a wig.
Okay.
But if you want to make an aura sight roll, you may go ahead and do so.
Yeah.
Nicodemus
has seen that.
And they now, before you do that, you should make an etiquette roll.
Right, because we are staring at them.
Because this is an odd. They're not going to know you're doing supernatural stuff, but you are obviously leaning across the table, eyes wide open, staring at this person like super obvious.
It's just dust in my.
Is there a way to do it fairly covertly?
No, you don't do this covertly. This is you lock eyes on this person and you don't blink and you just stare.
Okay, at this point. Okay, so early on it's probably too obnoxious. Actually, let's try something else. Nicodemus will look for an opportunity to do that, but because there's going to be some moments in the discussion when the attention is going to be on one person. So maybe he'll get a feel of the discussion first.
I would just like to stick.
Furthermore,
Go ahead, Nicodemus. Finish off what you were saying.
I wanted to ask, because Nicodemus has seen Gracchus before. What?
No, you've seen Tiberius before.
Yeah, Tiberius.
Yeah. Okay.
So what has changed between then and now?
He's gotten older. He's got a lot more care lines on him. His eyes have crow's feet around him. His hair is going gray. The signs of stress. His skin is very tan. His body's still powerful. He doesn't look like he's lost a lot of his strength or anything like that, but just the lines of care on his face are very obvious.
I assume all that radiates from him is the sense of purpose, right? There is no self-doubt.
No, there is no self-doubt in him at all. He is very calm, very collected. He sits down. His movements are contained. He takes a small bit of food, some wine, looks to each of you. He has a way of looking at you that makes you feel important. It draws you in. Makes you feel like he's listening to everything you say. And not just hearing, but really listening to what you have to say. Says, so, what brings you here at this hour of the night?
Well, I won't waste. I won't dance around it too much. We had inklings about your upcoming campaign, and of course, just recently had confirmation of it. Oh, hold on. Okay, sorry. Out of character that was. We would like, being brief, we was a group that we represent would like to talk about offering assistance in your campaign.
Well,
That
I'm
was
always
pretty
quite
straight.
happy to hear that. What in particular do you like, and what would you like to do?
We are on the side of the people, the victims, and the words came to our presence that there is a patrician considering the life of the plebeians, the victims, the weaker people, and this is quite related to our cause, and so there is no greater way to help that patrician in question. And of course, in our case, it is you that we want to help.
Well, that didn't answer my question. What do you guys feel like you can do?
Well, in part, that's why we're here to ask of you, but to give sort of a briefer overview, we have people, and people can be put to uses, say, spreading information, campaigning, and using. Though I will fully admit that we are not masters of the political scene. Nonetheless, us and those we lead do have people we know, and each person supporting your cause is just another step towards your victory.
You also make sure to keep an eye on anything that might happen, that might be happening. You understand that the floor of the forum can be as dangerous as the walls of Carthage. If you make the wrong miss, if you annoy the wrong people, and you wish to make sure that while you inevitably do so with your programs, we do not wish to see you harmed. We wish to make sure that you'll be protected from any retaliation, you and your family.
Well, while first off, I'm no patrician. I am of the plebeians. I am also no novice amongst the men of Rome. As my father-in-law can tell you, I've grown up amongst their families. I played as a boy. I played with many of them. We know each other well, and I find it hard to believe that these good men, these loyal men, could find it in their hearts to harm me. We seek only what's good for Rome. I believe a reasoned, strong debate can bring them around.
Kind thought, and this is a enlightened thought. But unfortunately, it's very it's clear that your campaigning will strike a nerve because it will impact the status quo, and there are those who benefit from status quo and would not wish to let it slide away from this. And will do nothing.
I will not speak to the character of those that you personally known. I trust your judgment on such things, but of course, there can be, shall we say, hidden. Let's just say hidden fools in even the wisest circles.
I don't recall ever meeting you before, and I believe I will try very hard not to take offense at the insinuation that the men of Rome and the senators are fools.
Oh, I am certain I'm certain. Hell, I'd go out on a limb and say we are probably overfearing, but caution is always wise at the same time.
We are actually in the debate phase ourselves of how we can approach this matter should the Senate refuse to hear our concerns. We are... He gestures back towards the paper. We're looking at some of the legal decisions and laws that have been passed over the many years, trying to find a way to help make this dinner more palatable.
Maybe we can help with that.
I wouldn't presume to tell you what is your expertise on matters of your own expertise, but yes, I know a little of such things, and if you would accept it, I would also be willing to give aid on it.
He looks at both Hatshepsut and Agatha, and he looks at Agatha and he says, "Your accent, Capuan. Strange. I had not understood that the people of Capua were well versed in the laws of Rome, nor that they had access to many of our decisions."
I'm an educated and a lucky person, Capuan. As much Capuan as Roman, despite the accent.
Education and knowledgeable enough to read through all of the relevant documents and know how to narrow them down in a few months. That is a tall order. There will be many, many long days hunched over the tables here in the atrium, taking advantage of the sunlight. Many late nights. You will have to subsist on only a few hours a night of sleep. You have to eat standing. I say this to you because if your offer to assist is genuine, dinner meetings simply won't cut it.
Is there a subliminal message in what she said? He said.
No.
Like, you know, when he mentioned, right? Like.
What? Okay. What kind of idiot studies decades of law papers with 4 and 5 other people in a crowded room trying to read them all by oil lamp.
Yeah, I get you. Of course, I should perhaps, how will speak up? I should perhaps have clarified. I, in so much that once you've, of course, in that I can perhaps help with considering how to prepare the speeches. While I'm not exceptionally versed in your law, in Roman law, I will fully admit I would have to put forward that I am fairly well versed on more general public speaking of that nature. If I make myself understood properly.
He looks around the table and he notices that none of you have so much as touched your wine or lifted a fork to eat.
Ah,
And
fuck.
he says,
Sorry, I declared.
My, how
you
does-
did. So you're going to spend willpower to keep that food down. You're good to go, Nicodemus. Says,
I thought you keep.
no, it requires a willpower point.
Okay, no, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I know the gravity of this meeting.
He looks around. He says, again, I do not doubt your education. I don't even know you. How can I doubt it? But I can write my own speeches, and I have many reliable friends and family for that. I would like to return to your original proposition that you could campaign for me. That will help me. That will interest me.
Of course. And Hat will start to realize that maybe he's noticing some for lack of more accurately, what's not going on with the food. Just be like, oh, getting so invested in this. How rude of me. I'm sorry. And try to do the subterfuge thing of at least try to make it look like she's drinking the wine that's been offered.
Okay. Dexterity plus subterfuge. Mime drinking the wine.
And I'm going to spend a willpower on that.
Here comes 8 dice.
If you're going to spend a
detecting.
willpower point, just spend it to keep the food down.
Fair. In that case, I will spend blood for the dex roll.
Well, please, is there any specific way we can help you in a campaign way of helping? Like,
The
any
people
parts
must
of
know why I am the best person to push their law through. I understand there are 3 tribune positions up for election. And there are rumors that within a few years that they might actually make 10. So you understand that a tribune is there to represent the best interests of the people. It is the Senate and the people of Rome, not just the Senate of Rome.
Yes. That is something we can definitely do, and it's actually something we can start helping you with. How to say it? A +1 advantage, a +1 to our starting position, considering that we are already initiated with numerous people that belong to the people that belong to the plebeians.
Of course, it may be of benefit to talk further in future, so that it would hardly be fitting if we accidentally gave the wrong impression of your campaign.
I think we will be quite successful of giving the right.
Oh yes,
impression.
And what impression is that? Do tell. Tell me. Convince me. Campaign for me. Right now. Campaign for me.
Okay, out of character, Hat's much better at this than I am, so can I maybe lean a bit on my stats here?
Yeah. You are going to roll charisma and leadership.
You got quite high leadership. So.
Yeah, I wasn't fooling around when I said that when Hat said she is actually fairly decent at this. And I'm going to spend another willpower because I really want to sell it at this moment.
I thought you didn't spend willpower before.
Am I barred from it because of holding down the food?
No, you said you were going to do a dex so that you could fake drinking.
Yeah.
I'm confused. So I got confused. Sorry, but either way, I've spent willpower to boost the leadership roll, and does my eloquent specialty apply?
You're good. You got plenty of successes.
Okay.
He says, okay, you're good at drawing them in, but where's the substance in it? I was very impressed by your ability to hype up my name and my accomplishments, but where's the substance in it? How are the people going to know exactly what my plans are, that I plan on capping, on restoring the ancient laws, on enforcing the 500 hectare cap limit on those of the wealthy? How are they going to understand the lottery system that I'm going to propose to distribute the lands, and the public money that will go to fund the farms and buy their equipment?
Out of character, I have a question about that. Can we use the fact that he was the first man on the walls of Carthage? Can we use that fact to our advantage?
That was what Hatshepsut was doing.
Okay.
He's a great fighter, and he saved 20,000 people, and he loves all you, and he was the first across the walls, and he's of this family. It's all flash, no substance.
What about this then? His connections with the strongest, one of the strongest.
That's what Hatshepsut was doing.
Yeah.
That's also part of it. Okay?
Yeah.
What he's talking about, he wants us to use politics for this to try to explain to the people.
And the trick is that you need to use simple words.
What will that role be?
That's going to be a combination of law and expression.
Okay,
I can handle the expression for certain.
Yeah, I think we can take a turn on speaking. Like one of us speaks and then another takes part later on.
Well,
someone write this down.
What I would do if I was you guys is I would make shitloads of written notices and hire graffiti artists. That's how I would do it.
Was that in character?
Well, no, that's out of character.
Yeah, okay.
It's like that scene out of Blazing Saddles. These are simple people, salt of the earth, men who work the land, morons.
Yeah, so how all then say. Of course, we can also focus on efforts to make sure that people are better informed on such matters. Perhaps with actually, here's a question actually that's kind of important that I'm not actually sure of out of character. What's the general literacy rate in the Roman plebeians?
Most of them can actually read a little.
Okay.
They're not going to be reading the classics. Call it year 3 reading level.
Okay.
Third grade. Well, it's about what we would consider an 8 or 9-year-old can read.
So they can probably, make out things like X because Y, if it's simply laid out.
Like
So,
they explain it like you would explain it to a 9-year-old.
mhm. Oh, okay. So yes, we can also work on trying to get some of the perhaps to some esoteric details better understood by the people, so that they understand precisely why this is not just a matter of you being the best for the job, but just how important your this agenda is.
Yes, that's what I hoped. You know, the men and women of Rome are all loyal. They gave up so much for this. To come home and find their farms taken and their families displaced, it's a humiliation. It's an outrage. It should never have happened. We must fix this problem. We must. And not just because you must be a landowner for the armies, but because that is the decency. It's a decent thing to do. The men and
Indeed.
women of Rome must be free to enjoy the fruits of their labor.
Yes, what comes from people goes to people.
Is it right at this stage of the campaigning to point the blame? This instills powerful emotions in
We will
my...
not point blame. There is to be no blame placed. For to blame is to cast shadows, to disparage the shades of our ancestors and our fathers. We do not do that. We just fix the problem.
More to the point, to blame is how you get even good men to perhaps be more angered than would be reasonable.
and incite chaos and violence in the streets.
Yep. And he looks at Albina and he says, "Now, Albina, I assume you're averting you're averting your gaze a little bit. You know, doing your best to
Yes.
conceal the shadowy nature." And he says, "Is there something wrong with your wine and food there, Albina? I believe you were introduced to me."
No, not at all. I merely uh, got myself engrossed in the conversation. Forgive me, but such matters, while not that I am completely familiar with, do deeply interest me. She's going to act like she drinking and eating.
Okay. If you're just going to act like you're going to drink it, that's a dexterity plus subterfuge roll. And Mercurio's just going to spend a willpower and do what he needs to do because, yeah, this is not something he's good at. Although he will roll his 2 dice to try to not show disgust at choking this food down.
I bought.
Oh no!
Wow.
Yes. Is that
So-
one success?
All right, so Albina grabs her bowl of wine.
Here's what happens. She's about to do it right, but it freezes.
Exactly.
Oh,
She grabs it and she does it like she's about to take a sip, and her teeth clink click, and the bowl drops and hits, and this chunk of solidified wine bounces out of her cup and slithers across the table.
Well, how did this happen?
And all the conversation comes to a halt.
Oh, no.
You should try to use manipulation to act shocked.
So they got a cup with
Yeah. We're gonna try and make it so that we're all as shocked as
Yeah. Why did he give us frozen food? Wow.
Well, no, we're not gonna imply that he gave it. We're just gonna be like, what on? We have just as little idea what just happened there as you do.
Is it possible to catch the sliding cup, or it happens too fast?
It happens too fast. Now, it does slide across the table right past you, and you can grab it off the table, but it's too late. They've seen it.
Okay, let's act like we are.
So all conversation comes to a stop. They look at it, and then they look at Albina, and they look back at it, and they look back at Albina. And you can see they're trying to process, how do I respond? So you guys have an instant to react first, because you kind of were aware this might happen. So you've got a heartbeat to respond first, before they do.
I think more presence may be needed here.
Presents? I have no presents that can help here.
Sorry. You said presents?
More so, well, maybe. I don't know how useful presence would be in this manner. But
I mean,
Okay.
I will activate I don't know how to pronounce it correctly.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, so cute or something.
Yep.
A fiery speech about the passion, something.
I will go. I don't know. I will go for how to say it? Breathtaking. I don't know. Yeah, breathtaking. That's my impression. So that they focus on me, not the frozen thing.
Okay.
They're like, oh shit, you
Charisma plus performance, difficulty 7.
Yeah, charisma plus performance.
You spend the willpower.
I don't think I can. Can I?
Yeah, you can.
Sorry, there's hair in my mouth. So I'm getting this.
Is it possible to accidentally rotate in a shock and knock the glass on the?
Okay.
They are not looking at it anymore.
Yeah, you can be like, holy shit, and like just knock it off the table or whatever, send it flying. Yeah, you can do that.
There's 5 success, so that's actually everyone in the immediate presence.
Okay, I'm gonna do it, like not react too stupendously, but rather more confusedly, like in reaction to the sudden. And is there do I need to roll something?
No, you just grab it or knock it off, whatever you're gonna do.
And get distracted by trying to pull it out, but not lure attention away from Agatha, as it.
Well, they can't resist it. They're mortals. All their eyes are drawn to her, like. Well, anyways, their eyes are all, drawn to oh.
Is the Numidian woman? I assume she's Numidian, although I might be wrong. The exotic woman, is she reacting the same way as they?
She is. She is actually backing away from you guys, but she is having trouble taking her eye. She backs away. She takes her eyes off Agatha, or she looks at Agatha, then she backs away some more, back and forth, until she hits the wall.
Dominate.
No, not worse, guys.
Dominates.
We need to de-escalate, not escalate, okay? We can't go full on.
Actually, now that there's a moment where just everything suddenly just almost paused for a moment, I want to try and quickly get a better look at the one. Can I tell where she might be from based on her general, features?
That's going to be perception plus medicine.
I did use the power, but I have no idea how to use my advantage to get over the ice thing.
But you think she's Australian. You don't even know what Australia is.
Only type of thing is offered of the gods as a sign of a blessing, perhaps from Aquilion.
Hatshepsut, she's definitely foreign, possibly Egyptian, maybe Far Eastern, like
All right, now I have.
yeah, not quite Semitic, but like that kind of region.
Let's try that read aura if there's time.
After I used a activate the immediate time frame, I will say something. It's very cold here. Is there a warmer room, plaza that you can take me?
They
I will just
they begin to back away, and they make motions to you guys to back away from Albina. They're like waving their hands for you guys to separate from her.
Okay, let's play the game, guys. Albina is our enemy now.
And they say this house is protected by Venus.
Remember what the
You
prince
are a spirit
said.
unclean, an abomination to her. You will depart this house immediately and never return.
This is clearly a blessing from Aquilion himself.
I think that's going to be a hard sell.
I will just subtly do the throat cut motion that is essentially cancel. I will just subtly do that motion to cancel. Go away. Leave now.
Yeah, he reaches back and he grabs about the only weapon that he can actually lay his hand on at the moment.
In fact,
I mean, what's this thing that was supposed to sort of like the equivalent of the Masquerade? I forget what the hell it's called.
actually, I've got an idea. Thinking fast, Hat's going to is going to perhaps popping presents herself to help sell it better. Basically, improvise, doing some sort of thing of begone for a whole suit, almost exorcist style thing, and basically hint to Albina, just go along with it, run.
I'm going to try to play a
So Albina at least gets up and leaves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically,
Nobody stops you. Nobody attacks you.
Yeah, and
we're
trying
simply allowed to leave.
We're trying to sell it that Hatshepsut managed to fend her off, drive her off, basically. To a whole, Beast goes in "Begone, demon!"
Then after Albina leaves, he looks at everyone and he says, "One moment, please. Our apologies." He grabs a servant, tells them to go get certain supplies, certain herbs and incense and sacred items to Venus. And they anoint the chair and the cup, and they perform a prayer and a blessing. They do not have true faith. Okay, this physically has no actual supernatural effect whatsoever, but it makes them feel better.
Yeah.
The apologies are ours. If we hadn't, I can't believe we didn't. Dreadful thought.
It was it deceived us for so long time. We never knew the true nature of it.
I am sorry.
Yeah. It must have waited for us to come here. It must have been just a vengeful spirit waiting. for this moment.
Yeah, he says, we will offer sacrifices tomorrow. You should all go and get yourselves cleansed.
Of course. We can meet back. We can hopefully discuss this more at a later date. Again, I apologize for not only being so blind before now and bringing such troubles to your own house.
Maybe a priest should accompany us in our next meeting.
Please let us know if there's in future if there's any way we can repay you.
It must be enemies of
No.
someone.
Hat will just sort of like. Hat will sort of like motion to just stop Agatha before she says that, and just like, sort of give a signal of, yeah, we should cut our losses now.
Let's go.
Yeah, they don't notice any of that interaction because, let's face it, Agatha is freaking breathtaking at the moment, and they're losing a lot of the subtle interplay as they have to tear their eyes from her to look at something else, but they keep looking back.
Is it possible to get this, the aura sight on the woman at this point?
Yes, it is.
Just in case. I keep forgetting what the roll was.
It is perception plus empathy at difficulty 8.
Is this the? Is this the?
Aura sight.
Yeah. I have a suspicion already by this point. Both in and out of character.
Oof.
Mostly human.
Mostly. So
Okay.
probably.
Cool, maybe.
There's something weird about her aura, but it's human.
Okay. Oh man. Oh.
Okay.
Okay. I will just subtly do call me motion to Tiberius while leaving. Like, not call me motion, but like equivalent of that in ancient times. Maybe if I can get close with him from that direction, it might be useful
actually,
in protecting him.
As we're leaving, Hat's actually going to make a note to everyone. I have certain suspicions, and if it's right, we're going to need to deal with that woman.
Yes, there is something about her.
I don't know exactly what she is, but I suspect it might have something to do with the trinket we found out so long ago in that shop, remember? And depending on how much she knows, she may end up opposing our efforts just by virtue of my presence. Depending. It's hard to say.
Sorry, what trinket? Which one?
The amulet.
Okay.
And out of character, this is me trying to balance how much Hat might know to suspect without knowing actual information.
Look, we are outside, right? We are not with them now.
Yeah, she would only say this when they were outside.
Yeah. Whew, that was close. Well,
I don't think we're going to be much welcomed by now.
Duly noted. Let's not take Albina to any human interaction.
There will be a way, but we're going to need to drastically rethink our approach.
Yes. Maybe now that I used my presence, he might be more inclined to have a private meeting with me, and maybe I can become important to him from that angle and protect him from that position. Becoming the mistress or whatever.
I don't know though. we should probably head back and just try to consider things more. And actually, the rest of you head back. I need to speak to my clanmates real quick.
Okay.
All right.
On that note, let's transition. We're going to rewind 2 nights to you guys wanted to look into the gangrel while you're waiting on your appointment.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, it is now 2 nights before what just happened.
Yeah, before the math.
Yep.
Nicodemus's plan is to find Golzar because he mentioned a gangrel. I can't remember the name of the gangrel.
Septimus, I believe.
Septimus. Septimus. And figure out if he can get some time to speak with him.
Of course, he is willing and able to speak with you.
Excellent. Where could I meet him? And
Do you want to meet him alone?
I don't see why not.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
He is in the forum, I believe it's called the Valens. That's the bad section of town at night.
How bad? Is it like werewolf level bad?
Yeah, you've been attacked twice by werewolves in there.
What's with them gangrel and their affinity for wolves?
Well, he's not a
Come
gangrel.
on.
He's of the children of Hakim. He's just incredibly brave or incredibly stupid or both.
Wolves is like werewolves or
Okay. I'm confused. I thought we were meeting Septimus, the gangrel.
Oh,
or...
I thought you were meeting Golzar. Oh, no. Septimus, you're going to meet him in the Forum Bararium.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, you're going to meet him in the meat market.
Oh, that's fine. I mentioned Golzar because I thought I needed to go to Golzar in order to speak with Septimus.
No.
Okay, that's fine. Let's find Septimus then.
All right. Septimus is he looks to be a man in his 25, 26. He's got, if I say a soul patch, you guys know what that is?
Yeah. I know.
Guys, I just want to make. Soon I will need to go.
Yeah. We'll have this conversation and then we'll close it up for the night.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Septimus.
He's got some earrings that he wears. And he's got his coat that he wears has a line of feathers across the neck. So you meet him in the Forum Bararium. You are within sight of the Temple of the Fortuna Virilis, which is in the Forum Bararium. He's just kind of standing there. He's watching the birds as you guys approach, as there are birds and bats in the sky, pecking at all the maggots and the festering flies and all the detritus of being a street butcher market. I should mention to you, if you're using heightened senses, you cannot smell anything because your smell is burnt out.
Not even gonna try it.
Yeah,
But
and it's actually kind of noisy because people are bringing carts of stuff in and bringing in, actually, farmers and stuff are actually driving sleepy cows and goats and stuff into the market right now. So it's actually kind of noisy.
Nicodemus is going to stand in some distance, just look at what he's going and try to find some manner of appreciation. A weird cycle of life. probably in the most untidy way possible. But he'll approach.
Okay. He acknowledges you, lets you know that he has seen you.
Mm-hmm. Good evening.
Nicodemus, been a while.
In a while, he extends a hand to the man.
He shakes it.
How do you fare these nights?
Oh, about the same.
All in well. The overcrowding of Rome is impacting us all, in good and bad.
Well, it's fine for us. The market actually gets bigger.
Listen, I have an inquiry about a clanmate of yours, Action.
Actian, I know this name. What of him?
He's made himself presence. He made himself his presence known in an area that I find that is linked to my old mentor. And I was wondering if you could spare some information about him.
I suppose, for each piece of information I give you, I want a tale in return.
Tale.
Yes, because, we're not Nosferatu. I don't parcel out information like bright trinkets to crows. We speak in tales.
Certainly. I like tales. I like hearing them, and I like telling them.
So, ask away.
What do you think his presence means? Is he attached to the land? And
So, Actian was here with his sire and grandsire. His grandsire fought quite successfully, fought off Tinia for a long time. His grandsire was highly respected, and his epic tales of battles with the incoming Ventru would more than fill this night. His sire was also quite well accomplished. Actian rode on their backs. In fact, that's why others in my clan did not come to help them, because they would not let Actian succeed or fail on his own. They were weak like that. Certainly he thinks he has some claim to this land.
is it a claim that you believe is deeply entrenched? That he's
No. No. You take what you can hold, and you hold what you can take, and that's it.
even when you have a younger by your side? Especially, probably.
Actian, I'll make a bet with you. Okay? You're a gambling man, aren't you?
Certainly. Like any other.
The minute I'll make a bet with you. I'll bet you a week of feeding inside the Forum Bararium. What's your matching bet? What's your wager?
Week of feeding. Let's see. Considering the spreading diseases, I'm gonna offer my. Uh, I'm gonna need some background here. So feeding in.
Okay, here's the bet. Here's the bet.
Yeah, but I want to. Is it like? Is it like this place? Is it like a clean?
It's
It's not a.
animals. It's animal blood. What do you want?
Okay, but the gangrels still feed on human blood, right?
We try not to.
Basically, I think Vorpal's trying to get out of character a sense of what the value is of what the Gangrels just
Look,
offered.
you can feed for a week on animals in our domain. What's it worth to you? Never mind. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna say this. I would be willing to bet you a week of feeding on our domain that the minute he feels pressed, Axion will throw his children to you as a sacrifice. He's a coward. I have no respect for him at all.
Well, that's one bet I wouldn't want to make. What about his personal power? How much of a resistance would he put?
I don't know. I don't respect him enough to find out. If I ever ran across him in the wild, I would just rip his throat out.
Would it be? Doesn't he have any significant tales told about him?
Tales of his cowardice. How he watched his grandsire take on Artemis and stood by the side with his thumb up his ass.
So he wouldn't really want to solve the stain on his legacy.
Actaeon's about as good a warrior as my dead grandmother.
What does Nicodemus know about Septimus himself?
About as old as you.
I sense some boasting in here.
You sense correctly. Gangrel are like that.
And obviously he believes every word he says. Okay. And the person he's with, that's his children, right?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in years.
Well, now I guess that's all I wanted to know from you. What's the total tally?
3. I want 3 good, interesting tales that we haven't already heard.
Let's see. Let me figure out something.
Don't worry, it doesn't have to be right now. We'll meet again at some point.
Very well. Thank you for this conversation. Have a pleasant night.
Try not to step in any animal shit on your way out. They don't like it when you track that in the streets.
I've had too many problems like this. It leaves a scent behind you. It's difficult to keep a low profile in this. When something
that was actually his version of a joke. All right, we're gonna cut her off there.
Yep.
Everybody gets experience point for tonight.
E.
Yep.
What
Next
is
game will
it?
be 2 weeks. So,
In 2
calling up my
weeks.
calendar.
Okay.
August 1st.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
Awesome. So, all right. Hold on a second.
Uh-huh.
There you guys have it. That's episode 72. Thanks for joining us again. Lots and lots of talking in that one. Guys strategizing. Tried to keep it from dragging on all session. So, hope you guys enjoyed listening. I'm glad you joined us once more and hope you keep coming back. Thanks and have a great evening.